As I learned in the middle of the week, and many of you did too, it was a double portion. So that's a double blessing for us, right? And the thing that really stood out in this particular portion in Mattot tribes was that Israel finally got to take vengeance on Midian. I don't know about you guys, but I've been waiting for this ever since Balak. That portion 2 weeks ago, the one about the destroyer. And it seems like, okay, right away God said, you're going to take vengeance. Now take a census of all your men of war because we're going to go to war. We're going to take care of this. And then all this stuff, delays, like, come on. I'm waiting. Let's do it. I'm excited about this. But Yahweh had another purpose. This isn't his priority. Yeah, I'll take vengeance. It'll come, but that's not the big deal. That's not the big picture. Holiness is paramount in God's eyes. So he tells them way back in chapter 25, not in this portion, be hostile to the Midianites. Then he says, okay, let's take the census, figure out how many men of war we have. This is a new generation. The old generation, the last census we took was when we came out of Egypt. All those people, except for 2, are dead. We got a whole new generation of men of war. And then this little issue of the daughters of Zelophehad comes up. What is this? Well, God cares about these daughters. He cares about their inheritance. And he wants to take care of them and do right. And then he tells them about the offerings. He's already explained how to do the offerings. And here he goes through it. These are the daily offerings, the burnt offerings, and these are the special offerings for all of these appointed times. And he goes through all of the appointed times. We're waiting. We want to go to war. But this is important. This is holiness. You got to keep focused on the day-to-day relationship with Yahweh. And keep yourself pure. And keep yourself right. And vows. Don't you guys wish someone was around to hear your vows sometime and say, no, I annul that? He says, because sometimes when you make a vow, you speak rashly. And I think that's the word he used in the scripture. When you spoke rash, you weren't thinking. I remember there was one story in Judges about a guy who's going to war, and he says, Lord, if you give me victory, the first thing that comes out of my house, I'll sacrifice to you. What was he thinking? His dog? First thing that comes out of Greek was his daughter, his one and only daughter. That was speaking rashly, I think. And then after all this, he says, okay, now, finally, take full vengeance. And after he's counted all the tribes, the smallest tribe is Simeon. The men of war were 22,200. And how many men went to war against Midian? 1,000 from every tribe. 12,000, not even as many as were in the smallest tribe. Because God's showing us this is not that big of a deal. Taking vengeance, and I'm the one that's going to bring you vengeance, but it's a partnership. You're going with me. You got to bring 1,000 men each. And I don't know how big Midian was. I'm assuming their army was hundreds of thousands, maybe 1 million. Who knows? It was certainly greater than 12,000. And how many wounded and how many casualties did Israel suffer from that war? 0. That's incredible. Not a single one. And they wiped them out. And of course, they brought the women back, and Moses got a little bit angry about that. Says, guys, these are the ones that got us in trouble in the first place. Through the council of Balaam. And then the next thing they do after they take care of that issue with the army is they purify themselves. Because the important thing, the priority, is walking before our God in his ways. He says, okay, you guys, you're going to be unclean for 7 days. On the third day and on the seventh day, you do the purification thing, with the ashes of the red heifer. And then they divide the booty. And half of it goes to the warriors and half goes to the Israelites. And then there's a tax, which is really small when you consider what they took. They got rich off of this deal. And one thing that kind of exposes their hearts and shows that we all need to keep our priorities straight comes at I think it's the beginning of the Masei, the journeys, where they have defeated Midian. And it says two and a half tribes. What does it say about them? They have lots of cattle. And they look at this land that they just conquered. And it's good land for cattle. And these guys, they come to Moses and they say, we got lots of cattle. We need a place. Give us this as our inheritance so we can take care of our cattle. And build cities for our families. It's backwards. And Moses turns it around when he finally agrees to this. First, he makes sure that they're going to do their obligation to Israel and fight and everything, help them get their inheritance. And then he says, okay, you can have this land and build cities for your wives and families and build shelters for your cattle. So the whole overview picture from Balak till the end of this chapter is keeping our priorities straight with the Lord. Making sure we are walking carefully and humbly before our God.